and welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 158. I'm your host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with power. Okay, guys, we have a couple of guests on this week, and I'm pretty excited. Both of them are amazing, and I can't wait to get into it. So, our first guest, our first amazing podcaster, huge Xbox fan, a decent Nintendo fan, and all heart, all awesomeness, Sean Capri. Welcome, man.
Thanks, dude. I'm not sure how many Nintendo Switches I need in this house to convince people I'm a fan of Nintendo, but I hope to prove that tonight, man. Thanks for having me on. It's good to talk to you, dude.
Yeah. I'm so glad to see you again. It's been a little bit, and we're going to talk about some awesome Game Boy loves. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that even more so. For our other guest, we welcome the most treasured person in Nintendo nostalgia history. If you listen, you'll hear him.
It's me, not Sean Capri. It's Jacob Rush. I'm back, and I'm playing with power. How's it going?
Hey, Jacob. Welcome back. It's been a little bit, and I'm glad that you're on. Okay, guys, he's not actually a guest.
Right. I'm back, and I'm back for real. Yeah, I'm back. Unless life happens some more, I'm back, and Happy New Year to everybody. Sorry to miss all the holiday seasons. Life has not been fun, and it's I can feel free to share about that, just where life is and whatnot. But I'm glad to be back. It's a new year, and glad to be on with Sean. What a great way to come back to the show, and not Josh Taylor. My goodness.
Oh, geez, that's me.
we have left the South and we have gone to the north, far north, to Canada.
You guys are all welcome. Come on up. And what better way for me to get my New Year's resolutions in place than to have a look at Jacob jacked up in this Dragon Ball t-shirt, man. Holy crap, I gotta do a push-up or something.
I did have a good workout today, that's for sure.
Can I tell you, man, I did try to do a little something last week. I did like a couple sit-ups, and like I can't move. Like I can't get up from bed. I'm just like I'd like to say I'm shredded, but I'm not, man.
You feel shredded. You're like,
I feel like
I'm
it.
Totally
Feels good.
Shredded.
Yeah, but I'm in sweatpants, so I can just make sure that I don't burst out of my clothes, man, like a fat Hulk.
Well, to be fair, I jumped on it earlier. I did a whole 30 back in September and really I hadn't done P90X in almost like 7 years, and I went back and I did a whole round of it while doing a whole 30, and because I was kind of in a slump there, health-wise. Ever since I started podcasting, I was not in a space where I wasn't a personal trainer, and I finally I'm back by Christmas. I wanted to be under 190, and I was 189 by Christmas. So I'd like
189 looks way different than my 189.
Isn't that funny how different body types are and stuff?
Great, man.
Thank you. I would like to I'd like to be around 180 and maintain that, and just maintain muscle size and keep a leanness to it, and I'd be fine just to maintain that. I don't want to go compete anywhere or whatever. I just want to look good. And
well, I hope training in 900 times gravity is okay for you. I hope you're not like really pushing. I hope that's fine on your brain and your heart and everything.
I don't know. I can't lie. It's a little tough, but hopefully there's no long-term bad effects. I'd rather go train the hyperbolic time chamber and get a year's worth of training in an hour. That would,
I would do that. I would disappear in there just to play video games, to have the time to play video games.
We go catch up on our entire backlog and
barely.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. My goodness. Yeah, this is actually a Dragon Ball Z podcast now that I'm back. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, deep cuts in Dragon Ball.
Deep cuts in Dragon Ball. I love it. I should make a Dragon Ball podcast, but that probably wouldn't be very good for my life situation right now.
I think it's a good idea, and you can trace it all back to this moment right here, man.
Here we go.
When you finally started up. Mm-hmm.
I'll have to play a Wayne's World back. Yeah, one of those back when I talk about this, how it all started. So, well, Ryan, I guess we should get into what we've been radical correction about, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right, so guest goes first. What have you been radical rexing about lately? Something that's really got you excited? Maybe something that you're really enjoying from Christmas? Let us know, man.
Oh, dude, I don't normally buy games day one. I don't know if it's the same for you guys. I think we like to try and find a good deal and everything. So I tried to survive the fall with all the barrage of Nintendo games that are coming out. And I just kept adding things to my Christmas list, and it all kind of it was the Christmas wish list for the best Nintendo fans ever, man. I got our family gift from my mother-in-law was Luigi's Mansion. We got that for the Switch because Lincoln's favorite thing to yell at the Google Chrome or whatever at the Chromecast is, "Hey Google, play Luigi's Mansion walkthrough on the Chromecast." And he thinks the game is called Luigi's Mansion Walkthrough. He thinks, so I'm absolutely loving that. We're going to be playing that together as a family pretty soon. And yeah, man, just been playing some Marvel Ultimate Alliance with my brother when he was up here over Christmas, and just digging that stuff, man. I could turn my brain off for a little bit, have some sweet hangs with my brother, and watching him just not even realize what he was in for. He's like, "Wait, can we play with Spider-Man?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, we can play with Spider-Man." And then Captain America shows up, "Wait, we can play with Captain America." It's he's my older brother. It's it sounds like I'm telling the story of I'm 9 years old and I'm talking to my 5-year-old brother. Wait, we could play with this person. The magic was just it was so pure and awesome. So yeah, man, just kind of getting through a few games that I got for Christmas, and just enjoying my Switch. I got my Switch Lite. I'm now a 2 Switch owner. Because I'm such an Xbot, I just don't really. I'm mostly a fake Nintendo fan. I only wanted a limited edition.
Look at that,
Switch, the Switch
beautiful. Lite, the Pokemon one.
He's a bigger fan than me. I don't even have a Lite.
Dude, this thing is it's perfect because most of the time that I'm playing, I'm on the bus, and it's not that much smaller than Switch. It's not you look at it, you're holy cow, this is a Zoolander phone, right?
Right.
But it's small enough. It's just the right proportion smaller, and I'm absolutely loving it. So now I'm playing some Shovel Knight on that thing, and Astral Chain is next on the docket. So I've got lots to do in the Switch land, man.
I won't lie. To be honest, today I randomly had a thought for the first time ever. I had a thought where I almost was tempted to have a Switch Lite and my main Switch, just my home console.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been able to justify it, and I still really can't. But
it's a perfect Christmas present, man. My mother-in-law loves me very much, which is awesome because she's the one who got it for me. So my regular Switch is here. It's docked just in case I want to stream or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's not leaving the dock, man. It's staying here. So it makes me think about at what point do I just want a console? Nintendo is doing this weird thing where they will walk me down the path from going, I absolutely where I started, which was I need a hybrid console. I want it to be a Switch. I want it to be a Switch.
Yeah.
That I can take on the go and I can have at home. But now I've got my Lite, and all I want is another thing that plays the same games, but I just plugs in. It's nice to have the flexibility of the normal Switch, but I don't really do tabletop. And if I'm ever going on a flight, I'm bringing my Lite. So there it is. This lights for the flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nintendo is the best at making people make dumb choices, wanting dumb things. We shouldn't need another Switch or want one, but we do, and we have some desire. You're right. It's something cool. Having a Switch Lite feels like I have a Game Boy again,
Big time.
It totally does.
My mother-in-law was like, I don't get it. Like, she's just so sweet because she'll ask my wife, like what does Sean want? And Chelsea will fear some ideas. And this was one, I think both Chelsea and I both had ideas that my mother-in-law got for both of us, where she's just like, I don't get you guys at all. But like, whatever makes you happy, like, you can have it. Here's your Switch Lite. Like, I thought you already had a Switch, but here you go. So that's great. And then for Chelsea, she got I asked her to pick up like a Bumblebee, like really like this nice action figure, like this collectible. It's like a $300 like action figure thing. It's all posable and stuff. And Chelsea's mom's like, I don't get it. I don't think that she should have this because who needs a toy this expensive? And I'm like, no, I think she really wants it. And it's like her favorite toy, man. She's like setting it up around the house in like these hilarious situations, like awesome. Like setting up like a gingerbread house, like Bumblebee, like he's got this big thing next to a house. And she's a professional photographer, so everything looks awesome.
Yes.
So yeah, like we're just everybody's geeking out about a bunch of stuff around the house. We'll never stop. We named our kid Link, for God's sakes. So
I love it. You found a rare woman, Sean.
I did. She threw me a Mario themed birthday party. My birthday's on the 28th. And so when I turned 28, she threw me like a golden, I think it's your golden birthday. She threw me a golden coin birthday and had everybody surprise me with this Mario themed birthday. And with tiny little cupcakes, she made like an 8-bit kind of Mario on the table. So like the red and the blue, like it kind of looked like the original Mario Brothers, but this giant thing on the table made up of just of cupcakes. And in that moment, I'm like, I should probably like consider marrying this person. Like, I think this is it. I think I don't have a choice, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
that's
very
cool,
lucky.
Dude.
Okay, so I gotta say my Radical Rex kind of feeds into what you're saying here. So my birthday was on the 3rd, and I had my birthday party on the 4th. So was that really? That was just a couple days ago.
Happy birthday!
My goodness. Oh, thank you. But yeah, my wife threw me a Super Mario party, and we had Boo cake pops and had like a warp pipe cake, and it was awesome. Had a few friends over, played some Mario games. I got to break out Luigi's Mansion 3 and play it while everybody watched because that's what they requested. So like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed just the company and the people. They weren't my normal crew. I forgot to invite people. I was like the day before, like, I know this is short notice, but if you guys want to come to my party, you can. But it was all good. It was still a lot of fun. And I've been playing a lot of Pokemon lately.
Nice.
A lot. I've been actually loving Pokemon Shield. Like, I'm getting into Pokemon like I did back in the day. Like, for some reason, Sun and Moon didn't do it for me, but this game is really scratching that itch. And I think a lot of it is just no spoilers. Like, I didn't go into this with anything. Like, Pokemon Company didn't show very much, and it was all pretty much a mystery. And there's like 400 Pokemon, some new, some old, and it's just cool to experience all of that and go through the adventure.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. It's really, really great.
Good.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It's been, I was on last week, the week before that, so I share my stuff pretty regularly. So I think that about does it. But Jacob, you've been off for a while, so you got a long list for us?
No, I don't really. Because I mean, reality life is honestly, it's really sucked, the past 2.5 months. So it hasn't. Finding the joys in life are small and here and there, but I will, what I'm correcting about is I've just really grateful for a God that does not ever leave you and who meets you where you're at. And just for going through a lot of stuff in life right now, I'm just very grateful for the right kind of people in my life to pour into, and for God to just always be there, no matter how bad things may seem or screwed up you may feel. God's always there, and he never changes. It's the same God that we read in our Bibles, the same God that I met back in 2004 when I gave my life to Christ. It's the same God that was there when I got married. It's the same God that's there in my life right now. And I find hope in that and encouragement in that. And, that's really the best thing I have. I'm thankful for my friends, close friends, and family that are able to help through tough times. And, so I guess where have I been from everybody? Honestly, I mean, without going into details, my wife and I have been having a lot of issues, and it's been issues that have come out of like 8 years of baggage that has risen to the surface that I didn't know was there, wasn't aware of it, and it's costing my marriage right now, and I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm trying to stay hopeful and to just lean on the Lord through it all, and we'll see what happens. But that's why I've been gone, without going into details about stuff, and no one's a bad guy. Like, it's not like me versus her. It's just a lot of layers of different things, and I'm trying to find hope and peace through all that. So, you guys, if any of your listeners out there, believe in Jesus Christ and you want to pray for us, you can pray for my wife. It's hard to heal, and for me to heal, and for our marriage to heal. And, I'll just leave it at that, but I'm glad to be back on the show. I'm glad to be here and do something to take my mind off of what it's been on the entire last 2.5 months, which literally can drive you insane. And it's been very depressing. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, I'm very, I'm hopeful and pushing forward, and 2020 is a new year, and the gloves are off, and I'm ready to keep moving forward with stuff in life.
Yeah, man. I love you, bro. You're so amazing, and I can't imagine what you're dealing with right now, but I'm definitely here for you, and I'm definitely praying for you, man.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, it's tough stuff. Life happens, and sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life really hits you hard. So, but that's enough about me. I have not been Radical Reaction Ton. I have, I've gotten a lot of Dragon Ball Z gear, and I've gotten a lot of. I got Crash Team Racing for Christmas, and I got Pokemon Shield, which I did not expect to get. Well, it wasn't originally on my list, and Ryan put them. Actually, what's funny? I ended up getting 2 games that I didn't even originally want for Christmas, and the 2 games I actually wanted, I didn't even get. Isn't that funny?
Of course.
I put Hat in Time and New Super Lucky's Tale. Those are the games I wanted, and then I had to add on Pokemon Shield because Ryan made that my must-get game for the year, and I added on Crash Team Racing just because Josh, he would not stop. He wouldn't shut up. He plays that. He's got over 200 hours in that game. He keeps telling us to get it.
What? Who?
Yeah.
Who
He's obsessed with it. Apparently Josh, and he, there was like a Black Friday sale of $25. I was like, well, all right, well, hey, I'll put it on my list if Black Friday deal. And I ended up getting those 2 games and not the top 2. Which overall I'm fine. I'm not sad. I'll save those other platformers for a rainy day.
That's funny.
And I got a lot of Dragon Ball Super to watch, which I'm excited. What's really cool, Sean, about our Dragon Ball Z thing, you can Radical Rex here, is that like Goku. Honestly, Goku, and I'm dead serious. I believe God can use anything in anyone's life, and the reason I love Goku so much, and he at an emotional, spiritual level, I look up to Goku, and like he represents a character that never gives up, no matter how bad it gets, and he's always strong, and he always overcomes. And honestly, some of the last tragedies in my life, we all go through storms, different seasons. And the last time I went through a massive storm like this, or maybe the last time, the one before, I remember watching so much Dragon Ball Z, and that got me through. Goku beat me through. So I'm chomping at the bit to start watching some Dragon Ball Super and to be inspired by my hero. Goku is my favorite superhero over any Marvel, DC, whatever. Like, I love Goku because he's resilient and he's pure of heart, and he inspires me. He always has inspired me to be who my character is and how I try to view life and go through things. So yeah, I love Goku. He's awesome.
I'm with him, man. He's like a better like Captain America, better Superman. Like, he's all that, like,
oh my God,
he stands for justice and liberty and all this stuff. But like, he's way better. He's way better than, like, way more interesting and way more inspirational and all that stuff. Like, and fantastical and all this stuff, man. But I hope everything works out for you, man. And I know that you keep your mind in a positive space, everything will be good. And we're all thinking and hoping the best for you, dude, for sure.
Well, thank you. I my computer keeps messing up.
Did you ever finish the Impossible Lair? Did you beat the Impossible Lair?
Yeah.
Dang it, I didn't think it was possible. I thought it was literally impossible.
Yep. Yeah, I was there. I was witness. It's like one last try before we go to bed and call it quits, call it a night.
I had all the bees.
He got it.
I couldn't do it. I had all the bees. Couldn't beat it.
So while Jacob's getting his microphone fixed, I can say this without him having to say anything, or I can't hear him. So I have a confession to make. I haven't actually got my Musket game yet, and I'm not 100% sure which it is, because we talked about Super Lucky's Tale, but then it was like Crash Team Racing, and I don't know which one to get. And I should have gotten it before the end of the year, but I just haven't done it. So when you get your mic going again, let me know. Our topic tonight. So, Sean, you wanted to come on and talk about a particular Game Boy game that means a lot to us crazy Rare-loving fans. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we jumped at the opportunity to have you on. And for this, it's a treat. Thank you for suggesting this. We are going to be getting into some Donkey Kong Land. So before we get into the topic, we do have a voicemail to play tonight. Looks like Joshua Taylor called in. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but he will probably explain what happened with that. And here we go.
Hey, everybody. This is Josh. Sorry I could not make it tonight. Needed a little extra sleep to catch up on, long story short. So anyway, just wanted to call and leave a quick message about the show here tonight with Donkey Kong Land. That's actually, I love Donkey Kong Country growing up. Grew up with it, loved it, 64, all of it, almost everything that Rare did. But somehow I missed out on that first initial Land game. I did pick up 3. It was one of my first Game Boy games. And that's probably actually still my favorite of the Land series. The first one's pretty good, but it's really hard to see. Going back to it, I feel like the sprites are so big and the backgrounds are kind of messy and everything. So it's a little funny to go back to, honestly. But it's still not too bad. It doesn't hold up to the country games, of course. But I'd still recommend trying it out if you can. I don't know if one of y'all mentioned this already or not, but remember they are on the 3DS Virtual Console at least. So that's a good place to check them out. Anyway, y'all have a good rest of your show. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Cool. There we go. Yeah. Yes, they are. I have all of them on my 3DS. All 3, all the countries and lands. Yeah, I guess. Thanks for calling, Josh. Sean, what's your original memories with this game? You're the reason we're doing this one tonight. So take us back in the day.
Let's get into it, man. Well, the last time I was on the show was when you guys did a month. I don't know if you guys remember this too. You guys did a month of Game Boy, and we started it out with Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins, and we talked a lot about that.
Yes.
But this game, oddly enough, this is the first Game Boy game I ever had. And so my memories were it was actually like a grocery store, kind of like what a Walmart Supercenter is, but in Canada. Okay. And because it's winter, 18 months of the year here, you just imagine just trying to get there in my dad's 1977 Volkswagen Rabbit with this kind of weird dark green fake leather that's cold all the time. And just I cannot wait. I've saved up all my money. I had a paper route. I've saved up birthday money. I've been watching flyers for the right price, the right deal. And it was about the time when it was actually obviously a number of years after Game Boy launched because Land was brand new at the time. And they just launched all the color versions. They had green and blue, a lot of the N64 controllers. I feel it's the same color palette on those ones. And so I finally found this perfect green Game Boy, and Donkey Kong Land had come out, and so I saved up all my coins and asked my dad to drive me up to Superstore, which is this grocery store. Floors are just like disgusting, dirty, muddy and everything. Everybody's bringing in the snow from outside, snow and mud and everything.
Yeah.
And the store is just classically dirty. We walk in there and I buy it, and I'm playing it the entire way home. And it's the classic Game Boy story of like just trying to see it. Like it's like it's not backlit or anything. And this game is so detailed. The backgrounds look incredible. The models look great, but it's almost like, I remember it almost being like too much for me. Like thinking there's actually too much detail here. And I had to really play with the contrast dial to make sure it wasn't like too heavy, so I could actually make out the detail, but kind of like back it off a little bit. But hopefully I could still see some sort of graphics on there. But like, we were never allowed to have consoles. For whatever reason, we weren't allowed to have consoles in the house. We couldn't have like a regular Nintendo or Super or anything like that. We had a computer for like homework and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we started like saving up our own money, like then all bets were off. And this was the thing that I could afford and that could be mine. And I just remember thinking like, this game has no business being on a Game Boy. Like this is a Super Nintendo game that I'm playing on the way home from the store, and I am never not having this thing on my side. Like I'm going to get a case with it. I'm going to make sure I've got extra batteries at all times. I ended up having to like invest in the whole like magnifying glass and like light Frankenstein accessory pack and everything. Yeah. But like, you know, my Super Nintendo time was over at neighbor Matt's house, my neighbor's place.
Yeah.
And, but this was mine. This was the first time I think that I really had a video game and a video game system that I could call mine. And it was like, I will always, first of all, that's why I love the show, dude. I will always remember like driving home with my dad coming from that store. And he was so happy that I was able to like save up. He was so proud that I was able to like save up my money and be like a good kid. And like go buy this thing that I had been wanting for a long time, instead of just like pissing away my money on like candy or whatever, or Pogs or whatever you might do as you're a kid. So I saved up. I was a good boy, and I got this game. And I don't know, maybe it's just like the color combination of like the green and the yellow, because like I had the green Game Boy and it was a yellow cart. But that is just burned into my brain. This game is so special, and I've been playing it over the last couple of days, knowing that we were going to be talking about it tonight. And just like I fired it up. And the music is absolutely perfect. The game is actually way more smooth than I remember it. I remember always like the visual aspects of it being kind of a tricky challenge on the old Game Boy screen. I've been playing it on my SP Advanced, which is backlit now, so it takes care of a lot of the stuff. And there's actually a little bit of color, I think, added to this. Nice. So it's a lot easier to see. It's really nice. But really just, I was instantly taken back by the music, and the game is just so smooth. The animation is beautiful. It's just so rewarding to go in and find all of like the KONG, of course, and the hidden barrels and everything. It just all comes back. Right. And it's just amazing how you remember it. Like you remember the secrets, like where they are, like whether you could actually explain it to somebody ahead of time or not. When you play it, you're like, oh, this is where I got to smash the barrel through the wall over here. Or I know that I got to like jump up extra high here to grab this barrel, or I can trust this fall because there's something down there. It's just everything, man. It all comes back. I absolutely love it. Like it's this, even now I'm like, this is what I want now. If I'm looking forward, is like the Metroid 2, like the Return of Samus kind of remake that we got. I want that for Donkey Kong Land games. Oh. Like I want them to come back in like a modern, beautiful, like just a package. Like we talked about, Josh talked about the 3 games. Like let's get all 3 just on Switch, man. Yeah, it's so good.
That would be so cool. I've been wanting them to like even with the country games, just like remake the trilogy in HD, like Tropical Freeze looking, but the original games. I mean, gosh, that would be fantastic.
I do feel like this was still made in the era, though, where like I think later on they realized, oh, the thing that makes Donkey Kong games kind of unique is like their difficulty, and it seemed like they leaned too much into that. Like the first Donkey Kong Land, it's tricky for sure, but it's not it's not pound your head against a wall. And you can really load up on extra lives. I've been finding like a lot of extra, like the balloons are very generous. I mean, there's definitely, there's like some sort of token that I'm finding all over the place. A little mini game that pops up every once in a while to get me loaded up on lives, dude. Like it's a loaded game. There's so much to it, and all the different levels. It's just great.
That's cool. Ryan, what about you, buddy? What was your original experience with it?
I gotta say, I've not played Donkey Kong Land. I cut my teeth on Donkey Kong Land 2, but I really, really love like the soundtrack to these games. They did such a good job, and I found myself jamming out to Donkey Kong Land so many times, even though I've not gotten a chance to really play it. Man, I if I would have just charged my 3DS and downloaded that, I would have been all over that. I haven't gotten around to it though. And like I said, like if it's on Switch, okay, I'd instantly play that. Like a Game Boy, there's the online service, have like a Game Boy version, like they have the NES and SNES. That would be great. Play these classics, all the lands from all the different, Mario and Donkey Kong, and man, it's not quite the game that was Donkey Kong Country that I had on Super Nintendo. And so going in, I wanted to have Donkey Kong Land 2 because I saw my friends playing Donkey Kong Country 2, and I already had played Donkey Kong Country, and I heard it was the same. And so I never went back to that. But from hearing you guys talk, like it sounds like it's totally worth playing. Like going back and playing.
There's a classic thing of when you get a game that on console, but then you play it on like a Game Boy. Like there's all of these compromises and sacrifices that are made all over the place, right? And one of the things is you don't see both characters on at the same time, but you hit select and they sort of like zoom in and zoom out kind of thing. Like they just kind of like shrink in. So you still have that like tag team in and out nature of it, but like, and of course the visuals are like monochromatic, so there's that. But like the thing that really struck me like immediately, like as soon as I took my first jump, Ryan, was like, this feels like Donkey Kong. So I think in a lot of ways, like the level design is Donkey Kong Country, the way the characters move and the differences between DK and Diddy, it is so quintessentially Donkey Kong that I think that I think people have every right to say that it's very similar anyways. But like the things that like when I think about like going from a console game to a Game Boy experience, I think about like the original like Super Mario Land, where it's like, holy crap, dude, it's like it's not even close to being the same. It's like this tiny little Mario, and like everything's weird and strange.
Oh, different.
But like this one, it translated so well, and especially the music. I think Jacob had a really good analogy for like the way the music goes from one to the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I said it's like when you listen to it, it's like hearing a song on an acoustic guitar and hearing a song on an electric guitar. I mean, they sound entirely different, but they both sound really good. Mm-hmm. I think it gives it new life when I hear these, because almost not every track is the same on the game, but as country. But there's a lot of Donkey Kong Country songs in Land that they just transferred over to 8-bit Game Boy, and it fits really well. You're so right. The music we said this before the show, is like a Game Boy shouldn't sound this good.
Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful homage to like to the Super Nintendo songs and themes that so well, and maybe that's part of it too. Is that like especially if you have that as a baseline, where that's what the song is that they're going for, and it's close enough that maybe your brain, like I think my brain might be filling in some gaps here a little bit. But like I hear like the pirate song is like in my head right now as we speak. Yeah. But I think like as I think about it, I'm thinking about like the real song and the way that like kind of morphs into what it becomes throughout that track. Like I think that helps. It's such a great compliment if you've already played the country games and you know that this is a bit of a smaller version of it. It's perfect for that. If you know what this is, it's great, man. But if you even if you don't, because I never had a console, and this was my Donkey Kong game. Yeah. And this was like, I played it over and over. Ryan was like, just before we started recording, he's like, have you beat it yet? And I'm like, dude, there's this thing about Donkey Kong games is I need to see that exclamation point. Like I will finish a level. I will 100% a level before moving on to the next one, because number one, the exclamation point is super motivating to me. But also when you finish a level and it jumps up like 4% in your completion, that's how you know you've done it, man. And that's how you know you're on the path to really playing the crap out of this game.
Same.
Yeah, it all came back as soon as like I saw the percentage jump up. I'm like, I used to always look forward to that big jump. That number, I don't know what it is. I was motivated as a little kid for that. I need that percentage to be 100%.
Yeah,
that's it. Mm-hmm.
My original memories with this game is honestly I did not own Donkey Kong Country games or land games as a little kid. Ironic, as shocking as that sounds, because we had skipped the Super Nintendo in my household. We went from original to my mom accidentally breaking it to buying my brother a Game Boy that I basically inherited. My only playthrough with Donkey Kong and all my nostalgia comes from being in my, kind of like you, Sean. I went to my best friend's house, Traven, and he had the Super Nintendo, and all my Super Nintendo memories are through him at his house. But it wasn't until I met my buddy Brad Hunsinger, and we would always trade games. And he had Donkey Kong Land and Land 2 for Game Boy, and I remember just borrowing them and playing them because I remember like, oh, these are like Donkey Kong Country from Traven's house. Never really beat them back then. I just borrowed them and kind of sampled them and stuff like that. But I do know that obviously as an adult, my inner Kong has grown and being able to buy stuff myself. I have beaten Donkey Kong Land. I own all three of them, but I definitely have beaten Land, and it's entirely different. It's a different story from Donkey Kong Country. It's different. Or Donkey Kong, where Ryan was referencing Donkey Kong Land 2 is the exact same game as Donkey Kong Country 2. It literally is the same game. I wanted to read the plot here, too. I have it pulled up. The game was released in North America on June 26, 1995. And the plot is, this is what I love about Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong takes itself, the stories are so crap. And but it takes itself so serious. Like we talk about the music sounds so serious and beautiful and good. Like it shouldn't be that good of music. It's for a silly about monkeys, cartoon monkeys going like in the first game, King K. Rool stole his bananas, so he's mad and he's gonna go get his bananas back. But the songs like aquatic ambience, for example,
that's what I was thinking of.
So beautiful. It's I think honestly, it's kind of might sound weird, but aquatic ambience sounds like a romance, like love-making song to me. If you just listen to it,
that's funny you say that because there's a great there's a metal mix of it on OCRemix.org. It's awesome. It's just like really, it starts off all soft and everything, and it goes and it's all like prog metal and everything. It's awesome, dude. Nuts, I'll have to send it to you.
So the same thing goes for Donkey Kong Land. And if you read out the instruction booklet of the game, it explains Donkey Kong Land's story takes place directly after the events of Donkey Kong Country. So this happens immediately. And why does this happen? It says Donkey and Diddy Kong and Cranky Kong are shown reflecting on the previous adventure, just talking about what had happened. And out of jealousy, because Cranky Kong, thinks he's, back in my day, he gives you all this crap. The gamers today can't play the games like I was because Cranky is the original Donkey Kong. Out of jealousy, Cranky Kong scolds Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong about the success of Donkey Kong Country because he didn't think it was going to be a big game, implying that it only did so well because of the elaborated graphics and sound on the Super Nintendo. Irritated, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong explained they earned their success because of the fun gameplay and not just the graphics and sound. Mischievously, Cranky teases the Kongs that they could not replicate the success of their past game on an monochrome 8-bit handheld, causing Donkey Kong and Diddy to accept his challenge. His plan to fool them complete, Cranky explains that by the following day, he will have called King K. Rool and his Kremlings to steal Donkey Kong's bananas and scatter them across Donkey Kong Island. Determined to prove Cranky wrong, Donkey and Diddy head out to defeat King K. Rool and the Kremlings. So, Cranky calls up the villain from the last game. Is like, hey, come get those bananas back that they just beat you up for, and retake them simply because he's mad at them for having a successful game. It's so dumb, and they break I love rare humor because they always break the fourth wall, and I love that. That's so cool. I get the humor, and the story's crap. Like just the fact that Cranky's jealous, so he calls the bad guys back up to come do what they just did. And it
starts Conkers to me, man. That seems so much like just like what 4 or 5 games later, dude. Like in 64 era.
Yes,
Yeah, just like it's so in tune with like the audience and like what actually happened with Country and how it totally surprised everybody. Like who was even asking for a revival of Donkey Kong as a character? And then Country comes out and just totally uses as like a Sega killer as well in the Super Nintendo versus Genesis kind of race. And yeah, you needed something like real on the Game Boy, like because it was such a viable platform back then. Even as Super Nintendo was well on its way, people were still, and this was before Pokemon. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
95 would have been before Pokemon. So yeah, man.
I don't even think Pokemon didn't get here till 98, so this really helps supplement those years. It was really cool too because it's a dream world to think of today, but back then it was literally Donkey Kong Country 1 year. The next year was Donkey Kong Land. Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Land 2, then Donkey Kong Country 3, Donkey Kong Land 3. So we had 6 consecutive years of a new Donkey Kong adventure coming out. Now it's 2013 is when we got the last one, 2014, and that
too long.
Yeah, I mean the Switch port of the Wii U game, in my mind, doesn't count. I mean, it's been way too long. And then before that, I mean, we had Donkey Kong 64, but then they spun off and kept trying to do different stuff and reinvent it, and it didn't really pan out. So they went back to Country back in 2010. 10 years ago is when Donkey Kong Country Returns came out.
I need to ask you where in the game that like storyline is happening, because like I just went and started like maybe I skipped a scene or something like that. Like it just goes from the title screen right into the levels.
Right. It's only in the instruction booklet.
That's the best. We used to take all of our instruction booklets and we would draw everything in it, man. Like every enemy, because every enemy had like a backstory as well, and
so cool.
Like a name and everything. We were talking about the zingers before. We would draw on just like whatever paper we could get. Didn't matter if it was blank or lined or whatever.
Right.
We had a pen or pencil, or crayon or whatever. We would go. We were in it, man. So it's funny that we got all those Donkey Kong games, because honestly, the only ones that were on my radar at that time, maybe I was just getting a little on the older side as they were coming out. 95, I would have been in grade 5. So I don't know if I guess like heading up into junior high is like maybe not so much Game Boy time. I know I'm old.
I was 5.
I know. See, that's where you guys would have been playing like all the other ones as well. But I wasn't even on. It would have been perfect though. I don't even honestly, we were so into the land and so into Country that I don't even think that I knew the other ones were coming out. And I didn't have Nintendo Power. I was always like mooching off my buddy. So I didn't realize it, man. But I want to go back. I didn't even think that they were on. I didn't think to play them on 3DS.
Yeah, they're there, all of them.
Oh, I love it.
They're all there, and I get the same feelings. Like we talk about the music. I mean, Donkey Kong Land 2 is literally Donkey Kong Country 2, but everything in 8-bit. And
yeah.
I don't know. So,
I mean, I guess in a way,
you can hear some key melodies. Like I've actually gone and listened to, I think from Donkey Kong Land 2 is what it is. Like I actually prefer a Game Boy track version of a song over the Super Nintendo, and that's because I can hear the melody a lot more clear and it sticks out to me, and it's a lot more catchy. Mm-hmm. It's the same melody as what's on the Super Nintendo. It's just that those 8-bit sounds make it sound, in my mind, more poppy, and I love it. I love that. So
yeah, it's got a bit of a punch, bit of a crunch, and just like the highs to really get into your eardrums,
Oh my gosh, love that. It's so good. I guess we could just talk about the game a little bit itself. Obviously, you start off in the jungle, takes you back through there, and then you have to start working your way through different lands. So it's not like the actual island that you're on. You start off there from Donkey Kong Country, but then you make your way to different areas, which it leads back into Donkey Kong lore, which is what I love. P.S. There is lore to Donkey Kong, and because people don't realize, I still think a lot of people don't realize that the original Donkey Kong, I mean, it's not like its own separate thing. Like this is still part of that universe. The Country games, the original Donkey Kong is Cranky Kong. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's, in the first game, he gives you crap saying my games were way harder back in my day, and people are only playing your games for graphics and stuff like that, not gameplay. And then hence the birth of this plot line. But ultimately, you make your way from Donkey Kong's Island. You make your path back to, which is essentially New Donk City, what New Donk City is today. It's the last world of the game, and I can't think of it's called something different, obviously in the Game Boy. But what we know now, Mario Odyssey, is New Donk City. It's believed that these are the same cities because you go back to where the original Donkey Kong took place, the very first game. That's the whole purpose. That's what they tried to do. Let me try to find it here.
It's so weird to think that that's the same place that we get to explore in Odyssey.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, you just didn't know. You never knew, man. Like, it's much different. There's 4 worlds. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So, Big Ape City is what they called it. Big Ape City. You go from Donkey Kong's Island, and this is fun fact too. We need to point this out: is that you go from Donkey Kong's Island, you make your way onto the Gangplank Galleon, which is the final fight level of Country, which is why it has the awesome pirate music. And then basically, you take that ship through your route to get to where you're going. You got to go through Kremlantis, which is a whole water world, down to up to Monkey Mountains and Chimpanzee Clouds. And then you get to Big Ape City, which is New Donk City today. Fascinating, isn't it? Because you can even see the girders and all that stuff in Big Ape City of what you're working towards. So, Sean, you said you have not beaten this game. Is that correct?
Not since like way back in the day, man. We're actually talking about decades.
So you have been it at least once, right?
Yeah, back in the day, it's funny because I thought that I had lost the cart that I had for it. So I bought a second one, and then my actual like original turned up at my parents' house. So I actually have 2 copies of this thing right now. So, but that's right now I'm playing the one that I purchased. It's a little worse for wear, so I figure I'd save mine's actually in good shape, believe it or not. But this one's like got that classic like wear at the top of the sticker, just kind of going in and out of the Game Boy all the time. But yeah, no, I should have like a later in-game save, but I just deleted everything off of this cartridge. But yeah, it's so
yellow.
Good. It's been forever. It's been forever since I beat it. But yeah, like I love that about Nintendo games where like every once in a while you'll get a special color. Yep. And it seems like for some games it fits and some other games like, it's probably a little overkill. Like Turok is an example of a game. Like, okay, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's someone, I can't remember which one was green. It was maybe a wrestling game or Tony Hawk maybe. Never really like whatever.
I know there's a blue one for Tony Hawk. I don't know.
But yeah, of course, like
Tony.
Yeah, blues. You're right. You're a blues for Tony Hawk.
There's a black for wrestling, like WrestleMania 2000. That was black.
That counts. That's a good one. WrestleMania 2000. That's a good.
The gold and silver sparkly like two-tone of the Pokemon Stadium 2 was pretty cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Zelda, obviously.
Or Zelda, like, yeah.
Zelda's got gold.
The gold standard.
Well, in Majora's Mask,
we were not allowed to touch. We weren't allowed to touch those games. Like, if we didn't own them, we're like they may as well have been made out of gold because we just weren't allowed anywhere near them, dude.
Sacred games.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong 64 was yellow cartridge, and I didn't even think of it at the time. When I got the game, I didn't realize, it's banana yellow, but
banana yellow, yeah.
Well, back in my mind, and this is just goes to show you my age. I always thought the color yellow was for girls. Like we had a yellow 64 controller, so that was my sister's controller. I never wanted to touch it, never wanted to play it. Today, I don't care, and I actually really like the color yellow. But you know what it is? I'll tell you what set that mindset up in my mind. It was the dang Power Rangers, because all the girls were pink and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So I always those are girl colors as a boy. Now today I'm like, heck yeah, give me a yellow Switch. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, my sister, she even got a yellow, talking about Game Boy, she even got a yellow Game Boy Pocket, and I got a red Game Boy Pocket. So only just feeds into that mindset. But
I wish I would have had a Pocket for sure, but like that was really just a special thing about, and that's what people are really discovering now as well with the Switch, is like that this is yours. This is not something that, like, if it's attached to a TV, you're automatically sharing that with the family. But anybody who like grew up with the Game Boy remembers that, like, it was almost like bestowed upon you, like this magical like portal into your own world, your own way of experiencing games. And for anybody who's like ancient like me, you can remember like back in the day of like just trying to find something around your house, a flashlight or a lamp or something to be like really dangerous under your bed sheets, just to like try and sneak it and actually make it work. Cause of course it wasn't backlit. So I remember playing this game like all the time, whether it was in bed and just trying to like figure out a lighting situation or in the car on my way to soccer practice as a kid. Like, like, and I'm like kind of like on the older side of a kid, I guess. But like, it was like between that, this is so embarrassing. Like I had a Sony Discman with like before like anti-skip was even a thing. Like everybody's like, yeah, like my first Discman was like 10-second anti-shock. Like anti-shock was not a thing. You need to like cushion that sucker. So I've got like my giant like NES sized Discman that I carry around with me with like, I don't know, a dozen or so batteries. And then that was the thing, like Discman and my Game Boy, I'm probably pushing through like a dozen or two batteries, AA batteries every single week, man. I was playing this everywhere I could possibly go. And I just wish my Game Boy Advance SP had headphone jacks. That's a big knock on this thing. Because I'd love to listen to the music as I play this on the bus, but I think I might actually end up getting this on my 3DS, because I could do it that way for sure.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. You can always try to find the adapter for that. They have a headphone adapter that plugs into the power port.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure they're easy to find too.
I'm sure it's easier just to download to your 3DS.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well, because then I can get the other ones as well. I haven't played 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But I always see them every time I go to like the retro store around the corner. Like I always look at it with a tremendous amount of fondness. And then I like immediately up from that is there's 2 and there's 3. And I don't know why I haven't picked them up yet, but I think this episode might be just rejuvenating my nostalgia just enough to go pick those up.
Oh yeah, you should just go download them after this. Like, it's nice to have them and just even poke fun and look around at them. You know, and I mean, this isn't like Donkey Kong Land series episode, but Donkey Kong 3, they went back to, they gave it original story like 1 for the land. So, which is cool. But, so, and with the land game, I will say too, they are, Donkey Kong Land is, probably got the craziest, dumbest King K. Rool fight you'll ever have. I won't say it's the craziest, but it's the first time where King K. Rool is like he's as big as Diddy Kong in the game. for just the art that they could fit on the Game Boy, like he's like small and stubby and fat, and it's really, really bizarre. Doesn't really even feel like him that much. I remember just getting to the fight, and it just kind of just throws you in. You don't really expect. Like, I thought I was going into another level, and all of a sudden, you're just right there on the girders, and he's like running right at you. And it's like, oh my goodness, which is cool. That fitting that they bring it back around to you're on the girders and you're fighting King K. Rool. His final boss fight's pretty good. Not as good as his main one from Country, but it's
that one made me throw the controller against the room. Like, that was the first time Chelsea really saw me rage at a video game.
Oh, really?
Was the final battle. Like, we would hang out and just like work through Donkey Kong Country on Super. And it was like that final boss. Like, that was the first time I just threw a controller across the room. Well, oddly enough, I did the same thing with Impossible Lair, but that's a different story.
Same makers. He even pretends to like die, like you beat him, and then like the credits even roll, fake credits roll. On
so good. Country. That got me too, man. That totally got me.
Yep, got me
and then you have to start all over.
Yep. He got you up. He's like psych and gets back up. Now that is what I'm talking about. Rare breaking the fourth wall. That's why they were so good back in the day. Like, who thinks of that? And but yeah, with this game though, they didn't have they were very limited on what they could do. So he was pretty stubby. And
it's a pretty repetitive fight as well. Like he doesn't really have like a lot of variation in his attacks or anything. Like, you're mostly doing the same thing. If you can, like with any boss battle, if you can figure it out, it's pretty easy. But he's mostly just like throwing his crown at you back
throws
and forth.
his crown and runs back and forth, and he does like a little belly flop, which is actually in Smash Ultimate. Like he does that belly flop. They got it from this game. So they do that, and then like the ending is so lackluster. I mean, you literally beat him, and it just says congratulations, thanks for playing our game. Like literally, you beat him, and that sign pops up, and then that's it, and then the credits roll. Like there's no story. There's no there's no go to the big banana horde and celebrate. It's you literally jump on his head. Congratulations, and the credits roll, and that's it. It's like, what? Well, that sucks. So the game itself, I mean, it's fun platforming. And I think it's a little bit challenging because of how small the Game Boy was. The camera is really kind of zoomed in on the characters, so you can't really see. Like on the Super Nintendo, you could see more of a vantage point of what's ahead. And this one, you're really just kind of stuck in that square, and you have to be careful. You have to move slow. You can't just charge through. You've got to watch what you're doing.
And then that forces you to kind of memorize the levels as well. Because you're like, I want to jump up onto this thing, but I know there's going to be a zinger there. There's going to be a snake crawling up those ropes or whatever it is. And you kind of have to. It's not too punishing, like I said, because you can rack up all the lives and everything, but you definitely it forces you to play it differently than you play like a Mario game. Yes. Where if you're skilled enough, like you can just kind of like hold on to sprint and just kind of like run through it. Yeah. But the way that you approach every level, of course, is a little bit more of a kind of like a puzzle in and of itself.
Very much so. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good game overall. I love it. It's a good gem, and like I said, I think that music in general, I mean, that's worth it. In my opinion, that is worth it to play this game because the music is so freaking good, guys. Go YouTube the music right now if you have not heard the soundtrack. It's really good.
I'm just really grateful as somebody who only had a Game Boy that they didn't mail this in, dude. Like I think that's probably the best compliment I can give it is that as somebody who owned a Game Boy, I really felt like this was the real deal. Like I got a legitimate Donkey Kong game. So I'm just like I said, I'm just really glad that I was able to have that experience, and I played this game over and over and over again. Supremely replayable as well. Like depending on how you first approach it, whether or not you want to complete it from the from a completionist angle the first go around, or if you just want to get to the end and then replay and just find all the different secrets and everything. And it's just so these are all like things that we know from the Donkey Kong like country series as well. Right. But again, this was my first go at it, dude. Like it really like hooked me right from the start.
Good. Well, it's a hidden gem. So if you guys haven't,
do you think so? Do you think it's a hidden? Like, is this because it's so like part of my history, part of my journey? Like, this is where it all started for me. So it's like I can't remove myself from that. But like, I guess even just talking to you guys, like, it's not really that's not really the case for everybody. I'd be interested to hear what other people have to say about that.
I mean, I think it sold well. I mean, that's why they kept making them. You know, Donkey Kong.
That's what I mean.
Donkey Kong was lit. I mean, what Zelda's treated like today, that Donkey Kong was treated like that from the mid 90s. 94 is when Country came out. So 94 through what we said 6 years. So 98 basically. Well, even 99 because Donkey Kong 64 came out. So there's like literally 9 years there of Donkey Kong, and then all the rare crap happened. So they didn't know what to do with him for a while. But these games sold well. Donkey Kong, you put Donkey Kong's face on anything in the 90s and people knew who he was. So it's I think they're hidden gems.
He was like a weird like attitude answer to Sonic. Like he wasn't like fast or anything like that, but he was just kind of like this don't care, like so different. It was almost anti-hero as far as Nintendo can go. But he wasn't goody two shoes Mario.
No.
But he just had just a little attitude. He kind of like because he busted like in country. He just takes the boombox and he just crashes that
like a little punk. Like he
is a little punk. Yeah, exactly. Move aside, boomer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. They definitely had a lot of attitude and spunk to them to respond to Sonic's cool kid side of thing. And I mean, I really think Donkey Kong games they're a product of the 90s, and I hope that Donkey Kong never goes out of style, and they keep making games like this. I would really love. We've talked about this every time we talk about a Game Boy game. Nintendo's merged all their handhelds and their home console stuff together. Like, I think it would be genius to have freaking a land set of games, even for Mario, and Mario and Donkey Kong and Kirby. You have your home mainline people working on the bigger adventure. Maybe those are like more of like a 3D platformer style thing. But then you can get like a smaller adventure for the off years where you get like a Donkey Kong land or a Mario land where they're not like a 40-hour game, but maybe they're like what Link's Awakening was. Maybe they're a 20-hour game, So I think it would be fantastic if they could do that. Just remake your library. Like, that's all they have to do. Remake your library and people will buy the crap out of them.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, especially with Link's Awakening. And it seems like there's been a bit of a trend reviving some of these Game Boy games and putting a fresh coat of paint. And I wonder if, like, as I was playing through this, I'm like, as much as I want that, but I'm like, is this one too similar to the mainline games for people to like really differentiate? I don't know if that's, I want it. Don't get me wrong, but I also think about like Mario Odyssey, where you have like the 3D, but then you have somewhere like you jump into like the warp pipe, and then he comes out like 8-bit. So you might have like little bite sizes, or even other games like Wolfenstein would have throwbacks like that as well. So it'd be really neat to have, because there's so much history with Donkey Kong, so many different iterations too of like, and different perspectives that we've played with Donkey Kong. So it'd be really cool to have like one game kind of celebrate that all in one, whether it was Donkey Kong Country or like the original or a little bit of 64 in there. Like, there's a lot that they can really dwell on. My fear had always been that Donkey Kong was destined to just continue to get harder and harder and become like the Dark Souls of Nintendo franchises. I'm glad they're taking a pause on that, because it seemed like that was inescapable. Like, the gravity on that was just like, it was too much. So take a bit of a pause and find a new center for it. But there is so much history. There's so many people who cut their teeth in platforming with Donkey Kong, of course, with so many other Nintendo platformers. But this was it for me. Between this and Super Mario Land 2, like, these were my Game Boy games. Are just played over and over again.
For sure. Well, good stuff. Ryan, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about Donkey Kong Land. Sean, do you want to tell everyone, of course, where they can find you, and then Ryan can close out with our due diligence here?
Oh, yeah, man. Well, thanks. It was just kind of sweet to have sweet hangs with you guys tonight.
Sure.
You can find me on the internet, on Twitter at Sean Capri. Of course, it's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. I do a Nintendo show with my good friend Bobby, the Nintendo Guru. It's called If We Ran Nintendo, and you can find that on iTunes and all those places as well. If you like Xbox a little, and you know what, we've become friendly lately, Xbox and Nintendo. One of my favorite games of all time, Ori and the Blind Forest, available on the Switch as well. We talk about that on the Xbox Drive, which is an Xbox show I record from my car. But yeah, other than that, I'm just glad that we were able to line this up for tonight, and it gave me a good excuse to play a game that I love and hang out with people I just adore. So it was a really sweet night, man. Awesome.
Thanks for coming on, Sean.
Yes, thank you. And hopefully, if you're going to be there, I plan on being at the Extra Life in New York this year.
Are you really? Oh,
yeah,
that would be amazing. Yes,
yeah, making plans for that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. Oh gosh, yeah, that was something real special we did with the Phoenix Overdrive crew in Rome, New York, with Lee Navarro and the whole crew. Like, we had so many people come together last November and raise a boatload of cash for the Children's Miracle Network, and we kind of went into it thinking this was a stars align, like once in a lifetime kind of thing. But as it closed out, we're like, so next year. So yeah, it's penciled in, dude. Beginning in November. It'll be even bigger and better than last year. So that's really exciting, man. That's great. Rome, New York, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to get the works, because I'm trying to change my job so I can do more streaming, so that I can, really get into that scene and start making a difference. And Extra Life is something I wanted to do before I even, knew that was a thing. Like, I wanted to do, help with charity, do good with my gaming. So it's really cool that I can join in with the Phoenix Overdrive people and having talks with them, and they're really like, "Hey man, come on!" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll get to that point where I'm I'm ready for it. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm working for this year. It's my goal.
Absolutely the best. And it's the perfect excuse to get together with a bunch of your man friends from the internet and play video games for 24 hours straight, because it's all for the kids, man.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely, you'll never forget it. It feels like a once in a lifetime thing that we try to make sure that it happens every year.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope to catch you next week. You can find us on the Nintendo Village, nintendovillage.com/Nintendo Nostalgia, on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, and on our YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. You can find us on Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN, and shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. Guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Later, Preston.
Bye.
Peace out, Preston.